Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode. I am so glad that you are here. Today is a solo episode, and I am stepping into a place that, one, I didn't think or have any intention of talking about. And I'll share with you kind of how it came about and how I decided to talk about it. And also just know that this is, they say like, do the thing that makes you uncomfortable. That's where the growth happens. And all those really annoying slogans. That's what this episode is to me. I just feel like you should know that this is not a comfy and cozy episode. However, I'm doing it for the growth. I'm doing it. You'll find out why I'm doing it. But I feel like I just need to. I need to take some steps kind of beyond where I'm comfortable. So, what am I going to talk about today? And I want to preface this saying I am not at all talking about this because it is kind of a hot topic that is not something that I want to jump on anything and be like, oh, this is hot and spicy. I want to put my 2 cents in. Generally, not that person. And definitely not publicly. I'm a wait and gather information, which maybe that's what I did here. So today I'm going to talk about me starting to microdose a GLP-1. And this even just, I'm sweating just saying that out loud. I started about a month ago. And when I started, I had talked to several people. One, I didn't, and I'm not going to name any names or say who they are, anything identifiable, but one of them I talked about. I was really shocked. I was like, wait, what? This is something that you're doing? And she kind of gave me all this information, and it was something that I had never really thought about until she had kind of shared her journey. It's something, obviously, being in the fitness industry and the health and wellness, that I have heard about. It is something that when it first started, I had a lot of questions, judgments, all of these things coming from a place of I help people establish habits and routines and things to create a healthy lifestyle. I have never been a fan of quick fixes without dealing with the underlying issue, because that's always going to be there. And I've had many talks with past clients, with people in the medical industry that are my friends, about their kind of encounters with this, and how I'm speaking specifically, about women here, because that's who I have worked with, or that's who these conversations have been about, but how they've like lost their appetite. They're having all of these kind of awful side effects. And I was judgmental about it because I'm like, what kind of quality of life? I mean, are we just trying to be skinny here? And at what cost? Are you happy? Are you nourished? All of these things when this was first available. And my curiosity for my personal being didn't start until probably January of this year. And there is a lot of probably judgment and shame wrapped up in this. It's not just one thing. It's not isolated. It comes with all of these and not for me personally, but for other people, it comes with all of these emotions and past quote unquote fails. All of these things kind of are wrapped up in this package. And there's a lot of unpacking to do. For me personally, the reason I had thought about it is that I'm coming up on the 5-year anniversary of my brother's death. And immediately following his death, I put on 10 pounds. It was like fucking magic, not the good kind of magic. And then after the election this past year, I put on another 10 pounds. Again, just like fucking magic. And it was like, what the hell? And I eat well. I exercise 4 to 5 days a week. I get more sleep now than I've ever gotten. So it was like, I thought once I was finished at the gym and I wasn't getting up at 4 a.m. anymore, I get up at 6. So 2 hours more of sleep, legitimately 3 to 4 nights a week. I'm getting, 2 hours more. I'm getting like 10 hours extra sleep a week. My stress level is lower. I move all the time. All of these things that I know to be true about general overall health and doing good things for your body, all of these things were not translating to the scale. And when I say on the scale, I don't mean, obviously, I mean the fucking number. I'm talking about gaining weight. But what for me was bothersome is my clothes don't fit. And I don't, literally, the clothes that I wear, I have had for over 10 years. I have shared some the shorts, like my son is graduating this year. He's 17, and I have a pair of shorts that I ran a marathon in that I had probably before he was born, and I love them still. Like, I don't buy new clothes. The yoga pants I'm wearing now were probably purchased in 2017. That's 8 years. Like, I don't buy new clothes. And when I'm feeling uncomfortable in my clothes, it's really annoying because one, I don't want to buy new ones. Two, I know I'm doing, the right things, the things that I work with people on, the things that work for them. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is so frustrating to me. So I was curious. And then I talk to people and I'm hearing about the side effects, and I'm hearing like no appetite at all. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I love food. Like, I love food. I love eating food. I love thinking about eating food, not food that I make, of course. Like, I want to go out to dinner and eat food. But these are things that I look forward to. My husband and I have like a date night at least once a month. And I look forward to these kinds of experiences. And I would rather just feel uncomfortable in my clothes, not fit well, than not want to eat the food because I love food. I heard that these hunger cues might not return. And I don't want that. Like, I don't want to do anything where I'm like, oh, what is the impact about this? And I also heard about muscle loss, not retaining muscle. And I don't want that. I like to exercise. There's fatigue, and I don't want to not want to go to the gym. I don't want to not be strong. I love being strong. I love lifting weights. These are things that are part of who I am, part of what makes me not lose my shit. And I was worried about these things. So I like wrote it off after I had talked to somebody that was, kind of shared that first piqued my interest. And I was like, no, I can't not eat. I don't want to not eat. Like, that's not who I am. But I've been dealing with the increased weight, which people will be like, oh, I can't even tell, which is fine. I don't care if that's fine. I'm not concerned. I want to be in a swimsuit this summer. Like, this is not about like a vanity. Maybe it is because I don't want to buy new clothes and I don't like the way I feel in my clothes, but it's not really about looking a certain way, because I can still look the way I did 5 years ago. It's just, I'm so uncomfortable in my skin. Sometimes it just feels like I'm like an encased sausage, and I want to like crawl out of my skin. It drives me insane. So I had no interest. I was like, no, this is definitely not for me. Okay. And then I started hearing about microdosing, and I was like, huh. Because if you've listened on here, I have talked to people who are coaches for microdosing cannabis and microdosing psilocybin mushrooms. And both times I was like, oh, this is so interesting, because I'm not a person that ever wants to be high at all. Like, I had experiences in high school, and like, I don't ever, but listening to them, I'm like, oh, this is interesting, because people have when you talk about these things, I had the same kind of preconceived notions about it. I thought it was one thing, and then they're sharing, and it's like, oh no, it actually helps with stress and anxiety and PTSD and eating, all of these things. And it kind of opened up my eyes to this idea of microdosing. And when I started hearing about microdosing GLP-1, specifically for women in perimenopause, I was like, well, hot damn, you hooked my attention here. And now let me just say, probably should have started with this. And all of you probably already, I am no medical person. I have medical knowledge for shit. I know medical people. I have a TikTok like all of you. So I have no business telling anybody what to do at anything. So I am not telling you. I am sharing this as my own personal journey. And a lot of it is because of my own personal thoughts. Okay. This is not necessarily about shifting my body as it is about shifting the way I was thinking and perceiving. So I started hearing about this and I'm like, this is really, really interesting. It talked about inflammation and that women who were microdosing were seeing their inflammation reduced, joint pain, these issues that we deal with in perimenopause. And mine was mostly the inflammation that I was concerned about. So my interest was piqued again. And then it started to hit, I am speaking of the TikTok. Okay. I think that the people that I'm following are actual medical people. I'm sure that they could be some AI thing or paid. I don't fucking know. But this is not my first rodeo in doing anything where I'm like, I realize I'm injecting something into my body, but I've done other things where it's like, I'll manipulate my body in this way to see, one time if you remember Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Body, he had some sort of like high fiber bean diet. Yeah, that was bad. That was real bad, but I will try things just to see like, what does this do? So the fact that I'm doing this is not so far out of the realm of the things that I have done in the past. So my interest was piqued. And one of the things I was concerned about was kind of like my stamina, muscle loss. They talked about like there's hair loss, like the side effects, it slows down your digestion and then you do not poop. That is not acceptable in any way at all, like zero, not acceptable. And the people who were saying that they had microdose were not experiencing these side effects. So your girl got some. And it took a while to get it, but I did. So there's like I think they're all different, but the normal starting dose is 2.5, I believe it's milligrams. Again, I'm not a medical person, so do not take any advice from me medically at all. I take 1 milligram. Okay. So the micro dose. One, I was terrified because this is a fucking needle. I've never put a needle in my body ever. That is terrifying. It was not awful at all. It was awful because I made it awful in my head. But after the first time, I was like, oh, that's like, I didn't even fucking feel it. It was worse than the things I was thinking about it. And the first fucking week, 4 pounds down. And what I actually noticed, okay, so the piece that I'm most uncomfortable about is like right around my belly button. Like it hurts to sit sometimes. It's so fucking annoying. And I don't like that. But what I did notice is my face was not like puffy. And that was, I felt like it was almost overnight. I haven't had any side effects, any of the things that they say. I continue to put on muscle. I talked about a new strength training place that I'm going to. So that is, I can't remember. I think I started that prior. So I was already doing that, but I can tell that I am putting on muscle. So I'm not really running too much at the gym, but it's mostly because I don't want to, not because I can't. So I am still like physically doing more than I was, say, like 3 months ago. So I'm not losing muscle at all. So inflammation is like the key thing. And other than that, I've had 0 negative side effects. The reason I decided to talk about this. So as you know, I also talked about I was seeing my coach again. She's also a licensed therapist. And one of the things that we talked about was how sometimes I'm afraid to say things like this. I mean, here I am, a person who my career has been health and fitness. I have and still do help people in the, kind of fitness arena. I was going to say in the gym, but I'm not actually in the gym. It's online when I train people, and also with nutrition. And to say that I am partaking in this, that stirred some things up in me. And when I originally started, I'm like, I'm not telling anyone. Like, this is going to be like, I'm not telling anyone. And then as I did, I'm like, that's interesting. That's interesting that I am making this choice, and yet it is covered up by guilt and shame of like, I should probably hide this and not tell people because it doesn't fit with my persona, like the illusion of who I am. And I don't mean that in like I'm not who I am. I mean that in outward facing, anywhere we go, we are who we kind of project out. And this in my mind didn't match. And I've had so many conversations over the past couple of years about using, Ozempic and things like that. And my probably feeling judgmental, maybe, even though I say, I don't judge and I don't want to, but there's that clearly I was judging myself and it had to come from someplace. And worrying for people, mostly about worrying like, what are these habits? To what expense are you doing this? To what are you willing to give up to be skinny? And that's how I approached it. And I 100% do not think that we should sacrifice your health for thinness. Then I heard, all these things coming out saying how it is, in fact, there are all these other health benefits, which again, not a fucking doctor. I couldn't tell you what they are because I don't retain that kind of stuff. You can go ask your own doctor or Google it if you want to know these things, but I don't remember what that is. Anyway, it was so interesting to me that I was feeling this way and wanting to kind of hide it away and not share it, because for the most part, I share pretty much if it's something I'm interested in, excited about, learning, I want to share it. So the fact that I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then like, oh, but I shouldn't share it because it doesn't match who I am presenting to be. That seems fucked up. So fucked up. So I sat with it for a month and a half. And so I've started with my new coach. Not my new coach. I saw her like a year and a half ago, and now we're meeting again. And I was talking to her about this and how I wanted to share it, but I was feeling kind of shame and guilt, and how, I had talked to friends and clients about these things and shared their same kind of sentiments about it. And how now it's like, well, now I've just switched now. And she's like, you're not fucking time stamped. Like, you are allowed to think differently. You are allowed to, when you get new information, to make different choices. And holy fucking shit, do I not know this? Yes, I do. But there are more times than I care to want to think about, which this is my topic of thinking right now, where I maybe didn't talk about something publicly, didn't do certain things because I was like, well, this does not fit with who, and it's not really like who I am trying to present to be, but I'm like, what will these people say? And I had talked to my husband about this last week, about realizing that I do care what people think. And he's like, you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like, you literally have a jar of like fucks. I talk about this on here, not giving a fuck. Like, you can't. But then there's these places that clearly I care now, which is weird. It's weird to admit. It's weird to admit out loud like this. Although once you kind of admit it, then it's like, oh, then I can grow from it. So that's kind of what I'm doing right here. But it's weird to realize like, oh, here's who I thought I was. And here's where my blinders were, which is what I work with. I mean, I do this work with people and we all have blinders. Like that's the whole reason I have a coach is because I don't know my own blinders. I don't know what I can't see. I don't know what somebody can't pull out of me when I'm sometimes deliberately trying not to look at. So then I don't have to probably deal with it. So this is fun. This is fun that she got me to this place. And she talked about Brene Brown. I'm going to share it because I thought it was interesting. She talked about some like bell curve and how I was existing within the curve, even though like I was probably like on the edge of it and saying things that maybe most wouldn't say. But where I really need to be existing is on the outside of that curve. And that hit me real hard. That hit me. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Because I talked to her about wanting to talk about this and how I was worried about what my clients would think. I was worried about like just being in the fitness industry and saying, this is something that I'm doing. It's messy. It doesn't feel, it's not like, oh, yeah, I am doing all of my habits and I have my morning routine and this. It's not like talking about that. But everybody talks about that. And I'm still doing all those things. I've always done all those things, but this one just seems messier. So that's why I'm here talking about it because it's messy. And I think it's important for us to find those edges, find the spots where it's easier not to look at. If you follow me on social media and watch my stories, I've recently got back on stories. And I was saying how when I was working with her, this was, I think, 2 sessions ago or last session, I can't quite remember. We're doing some intense work right now. She's like, you're like 90% there. You've done the work. And I didn't think about it in the moment, but after reflecting on it, I was like, well, shit. Like I am like an 80 to 90% girl. I don't need to take it to 100%. I'm like a good enough. I have no interest in necessarily doing 100%. Like 85, we're good. And this work, this that I'm talking about right here, this is my last 10%. And that will evolve again and I'll have a new fucking 10%. But I just found it funny because I was like, oh, this is actually the hard. It's not too hard, but I really noticed that, okay, where I want to go and who I want to be, I have to start being different. I have to start stepping into the spaces that kind of like following my gut, which is how I got here because I thought about this and then I took in all this outside information and I wasn't really thinking, oh, now I have new information and that's okay. I can completely do whatever the fuck I want, you know? But I didn't. It took me, I mean, fucking a month. I feel like I did a really good job of processing all this in a month and being able to then get out a microphone and share it. But I also had to call in help. And I didn't call her in for this. I called her in because I'm like, shit's not fucking working. And I cannot process this on my own. I've done everything I can and I need you to help me process this so that I can make sense of all the things. This was just like, I had no intention of actually speaking to her on this, but it was sort of like, I'm comfortable and there I have work to do. And this was a byproduct of that. So to wrap it up, I followed my gut. I was curious, which is what I am. I'm curious. I ask questions. I recognized that I had some judgment. I recognized that I was worried about if I do this, what will people think of me? What will they say? Will people not hire me? Will people stop working with me? And I have to trust that if in my gut it's saying, you fucking just do it, like stop. But also, I don't want to hide. That doesn't feel right. And that is not in alignment with who I am. So if there's these things, and this is something that, just yesterday I was talking to somebody, like if you know in your gut that something is right for you, regardless of what it is, that's your fucking knowing. Like if you don't follow that, that's when there's that disconnect. That's when you feel uneasy. That's when you have that friction in life. And yeah, I think things work out the best when we follow our gut. And I have an episode all on your inner knowing and how that is really good when you follow it and that life turns out good. So my gut said to start this journey, and my gut also said to talk about it because I fucking love talking about things I'm doing. And after this is out, I'm going to start talking about it on social media just a little bit. Not too much, because I don't talk about anything like overly talk about. Like I'm not like, follow me on this journey, because it's not that much of a fucking journey. I just want to see, does this work? Can I feel comfortable? Can I reduce this inflammation? What kind of, I don't have a whole lot of perimenopausal symptoms. Like a lot of the people that I know, my friends, like they have like shit ton. I don't have that many. So I'm not really working with that. I'm just like, okay, can I feel better? And also, can I, it doesn't have to be fucking hard. If this is something that is going to be supportive of me and how I want to feel, I've tried for the last 5 years to exercise this. And again, it's not about some of you it may be, and that's also fucking fine. It can be about the way that you look. That is so fucking fine. For me, it is not. For me, it is, I don't feel comfortable, and I want to feel fucking comfortable again. I want to feel comfortable in my skin. I do not want to feel like I'm like crawling out of my skin. That is so fucking annoying to me. Oh, and there's one other thing that I wanted to say. One of the things that it is supposed to help with is food noise. And food noise is not something that I have currently. So I don't have, that's not a concern of mine. However, it is something that up until probably, I don't even know when it stopped. 3, 5, 6 years ago, the food noise stopped. But I used to be obsessive with thinking about what can I eat? How can I eat? And that is actually a huge reason of why I chose to do this, was because I hate thinking about food. I love food. I hate thinking about it. I hate thinking about how, like, getting the tracking and all of those things. I want to know that my focus is protein, my focus is fiber, my focus is nutrients, which is always fucking has been. But I don't want to sit there and obsess over what I'm eating. I do not want to do that, because that is not good for me. That is bad for my brain. That is bad. Like I can get obsessive. I don't like to be obsessive about food. I don't want to think about food. Food for me is just to eat, unless somebody else is fucking cooking it, and then it is amazing. But for me, it is not like, I don't enjoy cooking. I didn't have the food noise, and I also don't want to sit and think about food all the time, because that for me is not healthy. And I have been there when I've been obsessive about it. And when I was trying, like, I know how to fucking, like, I know protein and fiber. Like, I know these things. I fucking do these things. Like, it was not working. And I worked with, and that's another thing. Like, I have a naturopath that I work with. I have had my labs done. I have had all of these things done. My thyroid has been, all of these things, and everything. Like, I did all the things. And none of the things were like, oh, some of the things worked for other things, but I'm still fucking uncomfortable as fuck in my body. Now, I am not comfortable still right now. Maybe this won't fucking work. I don't know. But what I can tell is that some of the inflammation has definitely gone down, and I have lost about a pound a week. Total, it's been about 7 to 8. And I just think it's interesting. I think keeping an open mind and not judging yourself, following your gut. There are so many things that this one thing has sort of opened up and reaffirmed or taught me about myself. So that's where I have landed. Again, not a fucking doctor. I have no medical background, zero, except for what I hear from my friends and on TikTok. Okay. So Do not take advice from me on anything that is medical. Talk to your medical people, get a team like I fucking have, watch a fucking TikTok and then go talk to them. But not for me. This is strictly my experience and what I have learned inside this experience. That is all. Okay. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I would be curious if this stirred up anything in you. And yeah, there we go. Bye.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.